students, this week we're going to look at chapter 7 in our textbook. You've got the reading assignment listed in our weekly folder. And this chapter talks about work and unemployment. So it's kind of a natural flow, so to speak, building from the chapter on social inequality, poverty, and wealth distribution. And so what you're going to learn about in this chapter when you're reading it, first is different types of economic systems. And so every society, every complex society has an economic system, and that economic system is a set of customs and rules and expectations and traditions and norms for how work gets done, how much work is paid, what are prices for different things, and all kinds of profits, like how much profit do people take, and what do they do for that profit, and that kind of thing. So this week you're going to learn about different kinds of economic systems, but we're going to do something a little bit different with the rest of the videos in this weekly folder. There's a couple of more videos aside from this one that you need to watch, and they are introducing to you a solution, a potential solution, a potential global solution for the issues that you read about as problematic in this section of chapter 7 that you're assigned to read. And so what I'm interested in seeing in your reaction paper this week, if you choose to do one, if you need to do one, I hope that you will consider the topics that you're reading in the textbook, and then also carefully look at and listen to the videos that are in this part of the weekly assignment. Excuse me for a second. My robot vacuum cleaner came into the room with me. Anyway, I turned him off. So what I need you to do is pay attention to the next two videos after this one and critique it, kind of compare what it says a version of capitalism can be in the future that presents a solution to the injustices that are described in chapter 7. And so the key thing that you need to pay attention to and listen to carefully is the difference between the word shareholder and the word stakeholder. Now, these words aren't necessarily used in chapter 7, but the kind of capitalism that is described in chapter 7 is considered to be shareholder capitalism. That means if you or if I own stock in a company, or if we are a private individual that owns a corporation, like Elon Musk owns Tesla. So these people who typically own, Jeff Bezos owns Amazon. So people who typically own businesses, for-profit businesses, the critique has been in the past that these businesses look to the profit that they can make at the expense of other things that they should be paying attention to if they were moral individuals. For instance, if you are a moral individual, you will not abuse your employees, you will not abuse the earth, you will not do these kinds of things. But as we know, not all people who own corporations or who have controlling shares of a corporation, not all people care whether they have a moral compass and care about the employment, the employee conditions or the pay or the benefits that they do or don't offer employees, or they don't necessarily care whether they strip mine something and ruin the landscape for, any kind of living conditions afterwards. They don't necessarily care whether there is, some kind of poison even that their corporation might leach into the atmosphere or something. So these are the horror stories, of course, of capitalism that history has seen. It's not just a story, it's actually, in the past we see evidence that this kind of thing has happened when people don't have a moral compass and they run a corporation. And so that's one of the main reasons why capitalism has gotten a bad name. And another reason capitalism has gotten a bad name is because there's such an undercurrent in politics today all over the world for a more of a Marxist approach to government. And so definitely in Karl Marx's background, when you read his his work, absolutely, he was down with capitalism and in with socialism is what his mantra essentially was. So what I need you to do when you're reading this chapter, or after you read the chapter and you've taken your notes on the key terms, the textbook's really good about highlighting the key terms, but read the concepts to understand the background that the textbook is presenting, and then with a very critical ear, listen to the information that's being presented to you in the next two videos. Things about, instead of shareholder capitalism, stakeholder capitalism. And this is a new philosophy, a new way of looking at capitalism as not entirely bad. Let's keep aspects of it on a global corporate level. So it's part of the globalist or globalism kind of approach to capitalism. Let's make sure that corporations don't just look at the bottom line and the shareholders. The shareholders would be just one of the many stakeholders that exist all over the planet when we're talking about stakeholder capitalism. Are you treating the environment in a way that you'd treat your mama? Are you treating your customers in a way that you'd treat your mama? Are you treating every aspect of the business that you have to do? Is your governance of that business, is it representative of all sorts of backgrounds and walks of life and races and genders, etc.? And so there is something called ESG, environmental, social, and governance measures, that you're going to learn about in the next video. It's a curated video for you. And those measurements, or those kind of key performance indicators, KPI, are really what future-looking corporations, global corporations, are working into their daily and annual goals for the business. Instead of just profit and bottom line only, they have profit, of course, but profit to what extent is the question now. Let's forego some of the massive profits if we can also do these positive impact things for the world around us and make this place better moving forward. And so this is the general idea. So it's a solution. We're in social problems class, we're looking at not only the objectivity of the fact that something is there, but who perceives it to be a social problem and what are the solutions. Okay, so this is just one of the solutions that exists, but it's kind of picking up. It's kind of picking up. If you've heard of issues like DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion is what that stands for. If you've heard of these initiatives, it's part of the stakeholder capitalism push. And so, so look at these next couple of videos, and I think you'll find them very interesting. You won't have to listen to me talking all of the time. And please text me with questions and let me know what you think in your reaction paper this week. And yes, quiz questions come from this video and also the two curated videos that you'll watch after this one. Okay, thank you very much, and I will see you next time.